I spent 5 years working with Democrats, trying to pull them to the center. And I had a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations with people, virtually none of them public, because virtually no one would talk to me publicly.
Are we talking about politicians?
Yes, yes, and many of them. And I asked them all, on the Democrat side, I asked them all the same question, purposefully. And I asked this to RFK too. When does the left go too far? Because obviously the left can go too far. And none of them would answer. And so...
Really?
Not one. Dead serious.
In private?
In private as well.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. In today's video, we have none other than Jordan Peterson. And let me tell you, he absolutely schools Bill Maher in this clip. It's from one of Bill Maher's latest episodes, and trust me, it's a must-watch. I'll link the full episode below so you can check it out later. But for now, let's dive into this debate. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's get started.
When you're not fully on the woke train, you are somehow just thrown all the way across the field into that bin. That's what bothers me about the way people react to you. It's like, and me.
I have some objections to it too.
Yeah, and me. You know, it's like you, it's just
yeah. How's that going for you?
So
because
childish.
You've been
it's so naive and childish.
You've been standing up to the woke mob more and more.
Of course.
And so what's been the consequence? Not of course. Not many people are doing that.
No, you're right. Well, the consequence is some people left the building. I can't give an estimate, and I don't care, and I don't miss them. Other people joined. Like, there's a lot of people in this country who are tired of the hate and the hating, and I am one of them. I don't want to hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country. I would never vote for Trump, and I think he's an abomination. And Kamala, you know, do I have to love everything? No. And it's fine. And I thought she was great last night, and I can't be more thrilled that I would put my money on that she's going to win the election. But I don't hold my tongue about what is insane about the other side, because it is. It's not nearly as threatening as not conceding elections, which Trump does not do. So that's where I am on that. But I also understand that Trump, I think, will go away after this. I think he's kind of finally reached his Joe McCarthy stage where it's like people are tired of it. It just took longer. But Trumpism won't go away. And I would define Trumpism as a fear of the insanity of the far left, which is not completely unjustified. And therefore, anyone is better than that. And Trump proves it because he is that anyone. If he's okay, if he, in all his monstrosity, is still better than what you fear about the left, that's a problem the left has to deal with. It would be so easy. This thing I just mentioned about Colombia, where they were saying we want to eradicate the United States as it is. How about pick some Democratic politician, pick that as your Sister Soldier moment. Remember Sister Soldier? That's what Clinton, he made a thing about a rapper who had said, we should take a week out and just kill white people. Now, no one was...
It'd take longer than a week.
It would take... Exactly. But she said...
She's just not committed to the task.
She was being reasonable. She said, let's take a week. Okay. And nobody really took this seriously. He purposely picked on that. And someone could do that. Does anybody think most kids in America want to eradicate America? Of course not. But just pick out something to signal to the middle of this country, we're not as crazy as the super crazies on the far left. Just pick it. That's a Sister Soldier moment. We don't want to eradicate America. Okay? So Trumpism will not, they will find someone.
You know,
they will find another Trump. It's not really just him. As long as there's things that scare them about the things you've gotten in trouble with, gender the the hysterics about racism. Not that it isn't a real thing, but all this freedom of speech issues, parenting issues, all these things that really scare them. And again, not completely without justification.
Well, there's plenty of reason to be scared of the radical left.
That's what I'm saying. Until you take care of that problem, they will always come up with a Trump.
Bill Maher actually makes a solid point when he says they'll find another Trump. These lefties always need someone to blame. Right now, they're attacking Trump, calling him a threat to democracy, and using that fear-mongering to avoid any real policy discussions. Instead of debating actual issues, they just keep pushing this narrative that Trump is some kind of evil figure. Look, we've had 4 years of Trump and nearly 4 years of Kamala in this administration. Ask yourself, when was America better off? By almost every measurable metric, things were clearly better under Trump. And that's not bias, it's just facts. But this is how their ideology works. They need a scapegoat to avoid addressing real problems.
So I spent 5 years working with Democrats, trying to pull them to the center. And I had a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations with people, virtually none of them public, because virtually no one would talk to me publicly.
Are we talking about politicians?
Yes, yes, and many of them. And I asked them all, on the Democrat side, I asked them all the same question, purposefully. And I asked this to RFK too. When does the left go too far? Because obviously the left could go too far. And none of them would answer. And so—
Really?
Not one. Dead serious.
In private?
In private as well.
Come on.
No, I'm telling you the truth. And
I know some people who would answer that.
Well, look, it's also, I stopped doing a fair bit of that about a year and a half ago. And things have changed. There are more people on the moderate Democrat side who are willing to draw a line with regard to the radical leftists, but they're still not very good at defining it. So they'd reverse the question and ask me, like, when do you think they go too far? And I thought that was simple. It's like equality of outcome. And the universal response to that was always the same. Oh, they don't really mean that.
Well,
it's like, they do.
To be fair, it is more complicated than just that. Equality, meaning equality of outcome, I believe in that too. Equity is what they changed it to, a lot of people on the far left, and Biden went along with all of it, means no, some people started out not from the same place, so we should make an effort to redress that. I believe in some of that theoretically, and some of it in how you would put it into practice. You can't just say, okay, let's, some people weren't even at the starting gate for the first 350 years, and now go. Of course, there's going to be remedial, I think, things that we can do, and we're doing many of them. We're doing some of them anyway. But do I think it means we should, like, make it that medical school is not something that you can only get into completely by merit? No, because no one wants a doctor who got there by affirmative action.
Yes.
Right, but you would count what I said to be valid, right? That you can't say, if you started 300 years late, we expect you to be.
I guess this is one of the things that probably tilts me in the more conservative direction, and partly as a social scientist, is that well-meaning interventions seldom have the outcome that's designed.
Correct.
So even and it's really a radical
I would agree.
problem. Okay, so the historical solution to the problem of unequal distribution of, say, even of opportunity, is that everyone is treated the same under the law, regardless of anything, regardless of wealth, regardless of race,
right,
age, status. It's the same. Now, obviously, there's elements of that appear unjust. So if you make $1 million a year and you get $1,000 fine for speeding, that's a lot different than $1,000 fine for someone who makes $12,000 a year. And so then you might say, well, maybe your fine should be income adjusted. Okay, but the problem with that is, like, okay, you're differentially privileged with regards to your wealth. Well, how many dimensions of differential privilege are there? And the answer to that is, well, there's as many dimensions as there are differences between people. And that's an infinite number of differential advantages and disadvantages. And so I'll give you an example that I think is quite germane. So there's obviously disparity in wealth. Well, one of the best predictors of wealth is age. Older people are richer. Well, why? Well, obviously because they've had their whole life to work.
Race.
So,
Even more.
Okay, but let me make the case with this for a minute. Okay, so then you might say, well, it's very unfair that the old people have the money. It's like, yeah, fair enough, buddy. But the young people have the youth. And if I'm serious,
so
and if you took the old person and said, look, you give me all your money, I'm 18, you give me all your money, and I'll be 65, and you get to be 18 and broke.
But would you actually take that bargain? Because I wouldn't. Even though I'm punching 70 in the mouth, I still wouldn't do it because my head would still be my 18-year-old head, and I just couldn't take any more of that. Your stupidity, or at least my stupidity at that age, caused so much pain, unnecessary pain in my life, that I would rather be this age.
Well, that's another sign of differential advantage, is you've got the disadvantages of being old, but now you're not quite as stupid. So, that's...
No,
right,
it's awesome not being stupid.
Yeah, right,
It just is awesome. There's like that old commercial, priceless. It's priceless, not being fucking stupid.
What do you think is better about you now than when you were young?
I'm not fucking stupid.
Well,
I don't make stupid mistakes. I don't make that. I mean, I'm sure people would say, oh, Bill, you said this the other week, and I meant it, and it wasn't horrible.
Well, frequency and intensity also matter.
Also, I'm mixing dangerous chemicals every week, okay? I'm playing third base okay? I'm going to get more hard-hit grounders. And, but personally, much more, even my personal life. I mean, men take a very long time to mature.
Jordan Peterson absolutely nailed it with what he just said. The reality is, there are always going to be privileges in life, and no matter what policies or actions are taken, you can't eliminate that. Right now, the focus is on race and gender, but there are countless other factors that create advantages, like growing up in a wealthy family or having two parents at home. Compare that to someone who grew up in poverty with a single parent. It's going to be harder for them. And that's just the way life works. Some people are better looking too. You ever notice the privileges attractive people get, especially women? It's just how life is. There will always be differences and advantages. And when it comes to things like affirmative action, I get that maybe after the civil rights movement, there was an argument to be made for giving certain communities a bit of a push. I'd even listen to that argument, but today, half a century later, no, it doesn't make sense anymore. Affirmative action, by definition, is a policy based on race, and it's not necessary in this day and age. It sends the wrong message that certain groups can't succeed on their own, which is just false. If you look at the data, affirmative action actually harms more than it helps. Studies have shown that lowering standards for university admissions based on race leads to higher dropout rates among the very people it aims to help. You're setting them up for failure by placing them in environments where they're not prepared to succeed. Instead, everyone should be given the opportunity that matches their skills, regardless of race. Conservatives believe that all people, whether black, white, Asian, or Hispanic, are capable of succeeding without these crutches. We don't need affirmative action to prove that people from all backgrounds can excel as doctors, engineers, lawyers, or whatever they aspire to be. But the moment you say this, people label you a racist, which is ironic because the real racism lies in thinking minorities need special treatment to succeed. We're well past the civil rights era. Policies like affirmative action don't belong in today's world, and the same goes for voter ID. The idea that asking for an ID to vote is racist? Come on, it's insulting. Everyone needs an ID to drive, fly, buy a house, or even get medicine. So why is it racist to ask for one to vote? It's pure nonsense. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button to help the channel grow. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.